what are you doing with that thing? I know you can probably kill a jumbo with that, but and he did. Of all the vehicles that receive a better rating change based on the performance of it overall, this is one of the few tanks that pisses me off the most in terms of better rating changes. And it still does. Hey guys, it's Jim here, and welcome back to another episode of Heroes and Generals, Buddies War Thunder. And of course, in the last video is the M4A1 Sherman, and next in line, of course, is the M4A3 76W, or more commonly known as the M4A3 E8, even though E8 is actually more of a nickname rather than an official designation. And of course, you recognize this tank from the movie Fury, despite the fact that the tank in that movie is actually an M4A276. Anyway, this tank used to be my all-time favorite tank to play in War Thunder. And you know why? Because when it comes to playing tanks in War Thunder and even in Heroes and Generals, there's one thing I really enjoy, and that is versatility. Whenever there's a tank that's versatile, for example, it's good in flank and spang, it's good in hold on defensive, head on brawling and all that. Any tank that can do that immediately becomes my favorite. And this was one of them. Unfortunately, because of how well this thing is performing, who am I kidding? I'm gonna be honest for a second. Because of how horrible the Tiger players were performing in this game, this thing got up to 5.7. And that actually pissed me off. You know why? Having played Tigers and Panthers at 5.7, 5.7 is a little bit notorious for being constantly up tiered instead of playing within the tier or going up to 6.0 instead. It keeps getting up tiered. It goes up to 6.3, it goes up to 6.7, you name it. And you have no idea how many times I've actually gotten that playing this tank. Just be thankful that I can squeeze out at least 3 videos out of it. But anyway, some might say that this is still pretty devastating at 4.7, and after a while playing this thing, I can still see why at the end of the day you still need to actually play this thing, a little bit more like a ambush, flank and spang type situation rather than hold on brawling. To the point where I say, why didn't you just play the Hellcat? But anyway, let me break it down to you and I'll show you why this used to be my favorite tank to play in War Thunder. Now first things first, armor. You have 63.5mm up here as sloped at 47 degrees. Doesn't seem like it's a lot, right? Well, you can probably ask the Tiger players that they are constantly bouncing the Sherman because they shot at the Sherman frontal armor like this. I'm kidding, but anyway, this is not very protective for a 5.7 tank. A lot of guns can go through this, even as early as 3.7. You know why? This is the same type of Sherman that you see ever since better rating 3.7 or 4.0. Not going to include the 4A1 because upper front plate is 45-47 degrees with only 50mm. But anyway, M4A2 Sherman, yeah. This is, and yeah, as well as the 105 Sherman. Anyway, yeah. If you can pen those tanks, yeah, you can pen your rest that you can pen this as well. Without any issues. So armor wise, this is not really that great. Only times that I bounce is either because they shoot this and got Gaijin, or they shot me at a very wide angle. And then complain about American bias afterwards. Anyway, moving down, you have this right here, 63mm of armor right here as well. And then moving down, you have 107 right here. I'm not too concerned about them penning this anytime soon because the transmission's in the way. And then moving up, the turret armor. I'm not exactly sure when they made this variable thickness armor, but in this battle rating, it really doesn't matter too much, going to the fact that one, it's a near flat 90 degrees, so that means if you point the gun at the enemy tank, they can easily penetrate this. Not to mention, as I mentioned, 5.7 battle rating, gets up 10 all the time. You'll be coming across tanks that can pen up to like 250-270mm of armor. So this doesn't really matter too much, unfortunately. But unless of course they shoot somewhere around here where there's a bit of an overlap. My advice when you're playing this thing, if you're playing in hold on, is to keep moving. So that, yeah. So it becomes like 100, 138, 128, 118, etc. Just keep moving. Do not angle. Do not weaken your turret, because if you do, you're exposing this. So armor aside, how's the mobility on this thing? I'm not exactly sure what's going on. It's lighter than the M4A2 76 by a few 0.0 tons, 33 right here, and then down here's 32.9. I'm not exactly sure what's going on. As well as slightly better engine in terms of horsepower. I'm not exactly sure why the top speed is a little bit less. I was expecting it to be a bit more. But anyway, the good news is that this is a A3 Sherman with the new HVSS suspension, so that means it's using the wider set of tracks, so driving off-road is really not an issue for you. Unlike the previous Shermans where if you're trying to go off-road, your top speed will drop drastically. And now moving on, there's the firepower of this thing. This is the M176mm cannon. If I'm not mistaken, this is based off the M7 3-inch gun that you find on the M10 and the M6A1. But anyway, this is the same gun, 76, that you find from 4.7, 3.3, 5.0 all the way to 5.3, and then the Sherman Jumbo with the 76 at 6.3 battle rating. This is the exact same gun, and as the exact same gun goes, this is what we'll be firing. The M62 shell, armor piercing cap ballistic cap shell that pans up to 149mm of armor at point blank, excellent angle of penetration, and 65 grams of explosive mass. You will definitely one-shot most tanks you come across, if you come up to the sides, of course. The unfortunate thing is, if you come across a Panther from the front, you may have issues penetrating the tank. Tigers, if they're not angling, they can definitely punch through their frontal armor. But yeah, 65 grams of explosive mass, even if you shoot a tank at some weird angles, or maybe just a turret alone, there is a pretty good chance you can actually one-shot that tank. This is actually a pretty devastating round, and is the reason why all the German players really hate American players. Now, you do have APCR, and I say maybe bring 10 at least, but you probably won't use them anyway because APCR being APCR. You do pen 190mm of armor, but you can't really pen the front of Tiger 2 with this should you get up tiered. And of course, smoke shots if you want are explosive as well, even though you have a 50 cal. And now the other aspects of the gun, you have 71 rounds of ammunition. My advice, just bring as many as you want, because like the T-34, they're gonna be all down here. All the enemy tank needs to do is shoot underneath the turret right here, and it's an easy ammo rack right there. So bring as many shells as you want, bring less if you like, it's really not gonna make a difference. Reloading rate, 6.3 seconds. Now I am running Expert Crew on with maxed out weapon reloading and high level tank commander. But this is something you need to be careful of, is that if you don't put points in your crewman, your reloading rate is up to 7.6 seconds. Which is an issue because you can get caught with your pants down very easily with 7.6 seconds each time you fire. That's more than enough time for the enemy tank to push out and shoot you. So yeah, if you have points with your crewman, yeah, please just apply it. Vertical guidance, negative tank gun depression, that's pretty good, because if you're going for ambush tactic or hold on approach, negative tank gun depression is really going to be a real game changer for you. And finally, gun stabilizer vertical, that's effective to around 25 kilometers an hour. So all in all, how do I find this tank versus Heroes and Generals? Honestly though, I prefer this one over Heroes and Generals by the wide margin. Because firstly, why the heck does the M4A3 76 upgraded APHE shell pens only a little bit better than the Sherman 75 upgraded AP shell is really beyond me. How little of difference we are talking? We're talking like 2-3 millimeters in difference in terms of armor penetration. And not to mention, in Heroes and Generals, the M4A3 E8 is the most expensive tank you can buy and maintain. The cost per spawn, I mean. It's the most expensive one. It's even more expensive than the Panther. Oh my goodness. Yeah, it's really not worth buying. And not to mention the survivability on the E8 Sherman on Heroes and Generals is a little bit not so different from what they have in War Thunder. Because if you've seen my KV85 video, I was using stock shell and I killed it with 3 shots from the front, shooting the upper front plate. You know there's something wrong with the HE Sherman. Not to mention, you're also paired with a very long respawn delay, so every time you die in a M4A3 Sherman, yeah, you're stuck in the respawn menu for like 4 minutes. That's not an issue for warthunder. So yeah, thank you for that. Gaijin, please don't change that. Don't put a delay. I swear to God, I will end you. But anyway, that's all I gotta say about the Sherman. Now let's take this thing out into battle and try our best to actually make most of what's in battle rating 5.7, as well as us getting up tiered. I'm pretty sure that's not the guy we kept. Yeah, sure. How much you want to bend this the guy I killed earlier on? Buddy, what are you doing with that thing? I know you can probably kill a jumbo with that, but and he did. Was we they could have better treat. God damn it. How did that not do anything? What the hell? Come on, game, stop doing this to me. much as I want to camp in, or when there's so many guys around.
Roger that. Confirming fire.
Nine kills though, I'll take it.
Allied forces have captured a zone.
Okay, so 50. Oh guys, spread out, there's a stump tiger. I don't have any pressure for this.
Roger that. Artillery, fire.
That could have been done, nice. Not sure how I penned that, but okay. That was close. Remember me! Then better not be a wing fire. Is this not gonna do shit? Who needs anti-air when you have American 50s?
Attention to the map.
not the guy who was shooting me.
Attention to the designated grid square.
Gotcha. Hi.
The enemy is winning. We must counterattack. Attention to the map. Designated grid square.
If the enemy didn't know I was here, they do now.
I'm sorry. The artillery is on the position.
Dude! What the f- That's why I didn't want to hang around where he is.
Roger that. Confirming fire.
Artillery, you can do it. Artillery, you failed me. very wounded beast. Don't mess with me, bro. Right, excuse me, sorry.
Sorry. Attention to the designated grid zone. Attention to the designated grid zone.
Hey! Take that, SPAs. Unexpected threat, my ass. Oh, damn, we need to save the T-34. Yeah, we should be alright, as long as my team doesn't mad rush their spawn.